Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Bryan Colburn. Joining me tonight is Leah Jones, host of The Struts Life. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to start by asking you my first-time guest question, and that is, what does the word mixtape mean to you?
I am 31 years old, so mixtape for me was the age when in middle school we would all LimeWire a random conglomeration of songs for our friends and then pass them out at lunch so that we could load them up on our iPods that night.
The views and opinions expressed by Leah do not necessarily...
I mention like all the time that I used to LimeWire things, and I feel kind of bad about it, but I also don't because I was 13. I couldn't afford that.
There you go. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about a topic that is outside of the Struts universe in many ways, and that is the year in country music for 2024. So I guess my first question is, where did your love of country music come from? And then with that, what were you looking for in the songs you brought to the table this evening?
Okay, so I have loved country music literally as long as I can remember. My parents love to talk about how the first song I was ever obsessed with was Faith Hill's This Kiss. I was probably 5. I had a Walkman with the tape, and I don't even know what other songs were on that tape because I would just listen to the same song on repeat. I'd be like, can you rewind this so I could listen to it again? Thank you. And when most kids my age in middle school were coming home watching MTV, I spent every day after school at my grandparents' house, and we were only allowed to listen to country music because pop music was like bad, and I don't know, it was a whole thing. And so I would watch CMT and GAC for hours a day. I had like the entire countdown memorized. I only listened to the local country radio station for a solid 2 or 3 years, about 2006 to 2009. And then I like got my own music taste and branched out a little bit just outside of country. It also helped that Taylor Swift branched out of country about the same time I started exploring other genres. But this year, to quote Lainey Wilson, country's cool again. Everyone's doing country. I feel like it kind of got a little lackluster in the early 2000s, but I feel like it's back. There's a lot happening, a lot of really cool stuff happening in the space.
Couldn't agree more. For me, my country music love came from when I spent several years living down in North Carolina when I was in college. Obviously, most of the radio stations down there in the 90s were country music stations. So as you're flipping through, it's like country, country, country. Oh, there's a rock station. But with other people that lived in the area and I became friends with, they started going, no, man, you need to check out some stuff. You need to become a local and listen to what the locals listen to. And when I moved back to New Jersey and I went to college up here and joined the radio station, they said, we really don't have any airtime for you unless you could do something that's not on our current roster of shows. So I looked at all the shows, and every rock show, hip hop show, alternative, punk, metal, it was all taken, but nobody had a country show. So I said, how about country? And they said, we'll give you a Monday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm like, I'll take it. And I called all my buddies down in North Carolina and said, send me everything you can about country. And doing that show weekly for the last 3 years of college made me fall in love with the genre, because then I started branching out, looking for stuff myself. And the thing I like about 2024 country is it does have a modern sound, but there are definite moments of throwback to the 90s country sound that I fell in love with. And I feel like that balance is what really helped me pick my songs for this evening, because there's definitely a mix of stuff that leads us into the future, but also gives me that little hit of nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, let's get down to business. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Leah and I will be curating the ultimate 2024 country music mixtape, and we're going to use that old cassette deck approach. Leah, as my special guest, will begin side A with her first song choice, and then I'll add a song that I feel best follows up that choice. We'll then flip-flop choosing songs until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time I'll kick things off with Leah choosing second. Our overall goal for this episode is to craft the best 2024 country music mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving a show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you can find ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to upcoming episodes, chime in on future topics, become a guest curator, and so much more. And a few of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with the songs they would use to kick things off tonight, and I want to give a quick shout out to some of those. Sean Goff chimed in with Austin by Dasha, calling the song a good old foot stomper with a familiar and catchy chorus. Brandon from Virginia chimed in with Orville, Peck, and Willie Nelson's duet, Cowboys Are Frequently Secretly Fond of Each Other. Chad Lamas is going with Sarah Evans' Pride off her Unbroke album. And Chris Pazik is using the Americana angle and running with the old 97's Where the Road Goes. Once again, if you want to chime in for future episodes of My Weekly Mixtape, come join the fellow mixtapers at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. Now with that, Leah, I'm officially pressing the record button on our mixtape and the floor is yours. Maybe it's Faith Hill's This Kiss, even though it's 2024, but what song are you kicking off our 2024 country music playlist with?
I'm going to open with a song that I feel like came from the movie of the summer to become the song of the summer. I feel like I heard this everywhere. I heard it literally as I was leaving work today to come record this, and that is Ain't No Love in Oklahoma by Luke Combs.
Nice.
This song is one that every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, this is a good song. I feel like the ones that they play on the radio a lot, they can get really, really grating really fast, but not this one.
Luke Combs is one of the main names in country music, so I love that we're starting with this. The lead single from Twisters, the album, in a strange synergy with Canada. The song reached number 13 on the Billboard US Hot 100, as well as the Canadian Hot 100, and number 1 on the US Country Airplay charts, as well as the Canada Country charts. It also reached number 21 on the Australia ARIA charts and charted in Ireland, New Zealand, and the UK, which is pretty big for a country song. To me, this is country rock to its core, and it definitely sets the tone for one of the best, I guess we'll call it soundtrack events of the year. Meaning, this is one of the few soundtracks that if you go into Walmart today or into Target, in that tiny little CD or vinyl section they have carved out in the back of the store behind like the clearance aisle, because, you know, they're not in on the physical media anymore. You'll still find a copy of this. And it's also in all the record stores still. Hell, it's out longer than the movie's been in theaters.
You're not wrong.
The soundtrack's incredible. It includes Lainey Wilson's Out of Oklahoma, Jelly Roll's Dead End Road, Megan Moroney's Never Left Me. I mean, I think you nailed it with the album opener, because it's the album opener from Twisters, and it's a great tune to set things off for tonight. And to follow that up, I like where you're going with this. And I'm going to follow that up with a song that is also an album opener, but has the same groove and drive that I think flows nicely out of Luke Combs. But I think it's going to give you a little bit of room to move out of the country rock vibe and maybe more into some straight ahead country. And I'm going to go with the opening track from his first album in over a decade, and that is Uncle Kracker's High on My Horse from his Coffee and Beer album. Uncle Kracker had a huge resurgence this year. He was part of Kenny Chesney's 2024 Sun Goes Down tour with Zac Brown Band and the person I just mentioned, Megan Moroney, and it really brought his music back into the spotlight. Now, while we didn't specifically talk about this song, if you're a fan of Uncle Kracker, I'd be remiss not to mention episode 48, the Ultimate Uncle Kracker playlist, because He joined the show to talk about stories from his days as DJ for Kid Rock's Twisted Brown Trucker, all the way to the first few singles from Coffee and Beer. But High on My Horse has the groove that I think flows perfectly out of Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Keeping the party going. I think that's a great summer song as well. Like, I feel like country music is just a summer genre. I always find myself reaching for my playlists when the temperature starts to climb. And it's a great segue into my next pick because there is only one person who can accompany Uncle Kracker when the sun goes down, and that is Kenny Chesney. So I chose Just to Say We Did, which is from his 2024 album, Born. And I feel like growing up listening to Kenny Chesney, he has a lot of nostalgic songs. And when I was younger, I always looked ahead like, wow, I can't wait to have these cool memories with my friends. And then this album dropped, and this song specifically, and I was like, oh, I have those memories now. Like, I listen to these retrospectively now. Like, I think about doing really dumb things with my friends in my early 20s.
His 20th studio album. Try to wrap your mind around that. This song reached number 28 on the Billboard US Country Airplay chart and number 56 on the Billboard Canada Country chart. Lyrically, the line, so let's raise our hands up to the sky, stay on this roller coaster ride just to say we did. I mean, that gives me goosebumps because it really brings me back to just a completely different time in my life. Kenny's been doing this since 1994. So when you talk about the artists that I played on my radio show back in the 90s, he was one of them. And if you told me back in the late 90s that 25 years from now, he would still be putting out the same vibe and selling out stadiums across the country, I don't know if I would have believed it, especially in New Jersey, because I had a hard time convincing people that country music was a viable genre in New Jersey in the late 90s. And here we are, every country music concert, pretty much an instant sellout at MetLife Stadium. So I absolutely love this pick. And coming out of that, I'm actually going to go with something that doesn't remind me of the 90s. It's something that I would say falls into the more modern country era. And I'm going to go with something that, when I say the name, might even raise some eyebrows as to, come on, dude, are you really doing a country music playlist here? And that's Post Malone. And I'm going to go with his first foray into country music, the hugely popular F1 Trillion album. And I'm going to go with I Had Some Help, which features Morgan Wallen. It was a worldwide hit. It topped the Billboard Global 200, as well as hitting number 1 on the Billboard US Hot 100, Adult Airplay, Country Airplay, Hot Country Songs, and Pop Airplay charts. It also hit number 1 in Australia, Canada, Ireland, Norway, Bolivia, and South Africa. One of the biggest songs of the year that I think safely establishes Post as a force to be reckoned with in the country music space. Whether you're a fan of his music or not, I've actually told people who are not a fan of his pop music to give this album a try, and it shocked a lot of people. And I'm guessing this is going to be one of the few instances tonight that I can actually break out a cover song, because all these songs came out in 2024, but as quickly as the song dropped, Goldfinger and Less Than Jake teamed up and dropped a ska punk cover version of it. So if you're a fan of ska punk songs, you definitely want to check out that cover. It's really, really wild.
Okay, first off, you beat me to putting Post on the playlist because I love this album, the whole album. I love it so much. Ever since Post Malone first posted, I think it was 2 years ago, he did a Brad Paisley cover on TikTok that caused Brad Paisley to change his TikTok bio to say, I write songs for Post Malone. I was like, there's been whispers of this album happening, and I've been dying for it. So when it finally happened, I put it on, and the whole thing is just, it's a masterpiece. Like, he's so respectful for the genre while still adding in these little, like, Post Malone flares. I don't really know how else to describe them. My pick for the album would have been the song with Luke Combs, but Luke Combs is already on here, so I'll give you Morgan Wallen.
All right. And to be perfectly honest, I'm actually not the biggest Morgan Wallen fan, but this song, the two of them work really, really well together, because a lot of the stuff he put out, I was kind of, not bad. It's not for me. And I understand why people like him. Hell, he sold out MetLife Stadium as well. So I get why people like his music. But I don't know. Maybe it's too many headlines. Maybe it's just too much TMZ drama. I don't know. There's other artists that I gravitate to. But this song, I was like, okay, you got me. You got me.
The song is a party. It's so, you can tell they had fun making it and they had fun making the video. Like, it's so much fun.
All right. So what are you going to follow up post with?
We're going to keep the fun vibes going, and we got to add some girls into this mix. And so I'm going to add Lainey Wilson's Hang Tight Honey. I stole Lainey from you. You stole Post. I stole Lainey. I had to beat you to it. That's what started this whole country conversation. I did not get into Lainey until this year, and it was this song specifically when it dropped. It was the lead single off of her Whirlwind album that came out this year. It came on, I guess, my Spotify weekly radar, and I was like, oh, this song is really fun. I think I get it now. I think I get the Lainey hype. And so it caused me to do a deep dive into her previous works. I'd only really heard the radio hits. And it's just got that Western country vibe. There's so many different flavors of country, and all of her songs kind of gave me just this mental image of sunsets and horses and deserts, and this is no exception.
My favorite country album of 2024. You definitely scooped me. This track is absolutely incredible. Reached number 61 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 13 on the US Country Airplay charts, number 81 on the Canadian Hot 100, and number 3 on the Canada Country chart. Obvious scoop for me. I could have picked pretty much any track off the album. I mean, the title track's incredible. 4x4 by You was incredible. Good Horses, her duet with Miranda Lambert. I love it. Like you mentioned at the top of the show, Country's Cool Again's another one. And if you picked up the CD at Walmart, because every now and then they include bonus tracks, there is a song, Where the Sun Don't Shine, is just as good as anything on the album. And I'm actually shocked that this didn't make the initial album. It's that great of a song. So bravo on the pick. And I feel your female country vibe, so I'm gonna stay in that lane right now. And I'm gonna go with something that one of the Patreon mixtapers chimed in with, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Sean Goff, who chimed in with this one. And we're gonna go off of her second studio album, What Happens Now. I'm gonna go with Dasha's Austin, Boots Stop Working. In 40 years, you'll still be here, drunk, washed up in Austin. This is truly a 2024 song, because you can't talk about this song and not bring up the TikTok connection. The viral nature of this song propelled it to number 16 on the Billboard Global 200, number 18 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 3 on the US Hot Country Songs charts, number 11 on both the Canadian Hot 100 and Canadian Country Artist charts, number 10 on the Australian ARIA chart, and number one on the UK Country Airplay chart, and it also charted in 20 additional countries. This is TikTok taking a song and making it a global smash. And to me, you have to acknowledge that, because you don't think about country music, at least maybe here in the US. I always think of country music as a US thing. But when a song goes global like that, it shows that country music is loved all over the world. And this song, had it not been for TikTok, I don't know if she would have had the exposure.
Yeah, I agree. That's how I found the song, found her entire album, which is so good. You did scoop this one for me, so payback, I guess. My personal favorite is Didn't I, from the deluxe version, but this probably is the 2024 song, quote unquote, because it was everywhere. I mean, I couldn't scroll through TikTok without seeing 2 or 3 videos of people dancing in their boots. Like, boot sales rose. It had all kinds of crazy impacts. But yeah, it always fascinates me how global country music is, because I feel like it's a Southern US thing. And then you find out that the Brits go crazy for country music. And sure, we just trade artists. We get the ones they don't understand. They get our country music, you know.
Hey, look, as far as I'm concerned, the more music that goes global, especially for artists that are really struggling, having a hard time making a name for themselves, if TikTok is the way that you find global stardom, so be it. I mean, artists need to find new avenues to get their music out there because the traditional get signed to a record label and become an overnight sensation, it just doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't. You have to have TikTok presence. There's not even a social media presence anymore. It's TikTok presence.
Sadly, my TikTok presence is, well, let's not even get into that. Following up, Dasha, you have?
Let's keep the my favorite female artists vibe going. And this song that I've chosen next is from one of my favorite artists, Megan Moroney, Am I Okay? The title song from her 2024 album that just had a deluxe version drop not that long ago. This whole album is incredible, but it's the opening track and the title track. It kind of flips her previous album on its head a little bit because her first album was all about being sad and heartbroken and telling all these stories. And then she opens with this song of, oh my God, am I in love? Am I actually okay now? It's spoilers, she's not by the end of the album, but it was such like a fun album opener coming off of an album that was a little depressing and a little sad. And the whole package is phenomenal. She did such a good job with this rollout. I get to see her next June, I believe, and I cannot wait to hear the song live.
Well, considering it reached number 71 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 20 on the Hot Country Songs chart, number 100 on the Canadian Hot 100, and number 38 on the Canada Country charts, I don't see any universe where she's not playing this song.
It's the name of the tour.
Yeah, and I would have to think that the earlier tour I mentioned, Kenny Chesney with Zac Brown Band and Uncle Kracker, had to get her name out there a lot more throughout this year because that was a stadium tour and she was on the bill. So that's like instant credibility. And I feel like I've heard this song a lot more than those chart positions that I mentioned indicate. Only reaching number 71 on the Billboard US Hot 100 actually surprises me. I would have assumed that this song would have tracked much higher.
I think it was more of a sleeper hit, fan favorite, almost a deep cut. But I think it got its own legs from the fans.
Well, I think I'm going to stick with what you just said there, an album cut, a deep cut, if you want to call it. And I'm going to go with my oldest's favorite country artist, at least for right now, because she's in high school. That favorite artist status could change by the week. But right now, and for the last several months, it's been this artist. And I've heard probably more Zach Bryan songs this year than any other country artist. But if I were to pick one song of his because my daughter's like, you got to hear this one. You got to hear this one. You got to hear this one. So I've heard pretty much every album in its entirety several times. But the one song that really jumped out to me this year from his 2024 album, The Great American Bar Scene, would be Better Days featuring John Mayer. Well, don't get angry. Listen to the sounds. Them good times will find their way back around. I've had kind of a tough year this year. I've gone through some personal stuff that I'll get into a little later on, but that line really resonated with me. And I'll also throw out there that John Mayer is by no way, shape, or form a country artist. But if you listen to his Born and Raised in Paradise Valley albums, this song fits into the vibe of both of those albums. And his guitar work on Better Days is very reminiscent of what he did on both of those albums. And I adore those two albums. So I think as a shout out to my oldest, I'm going to go with Better Days. However, I know she's going to immediately, if she hears this episode, yell at me for not picking Pink Skies featuring Watch House. So I have to acknowledge that one as well.
I'm with her. You should have picked Pink Skies.
Sorry to both of you.
Zach Bryan is an amazing lyricist, and his music captures such to go back to being nostalgic, a nostalgic feeling, but like a very specific niche of this nostalgic feeling. And he's incredibly talented. This song is not one that I like gravitate towards myself, but I do get where he's coming from and get the appeal. So I'm going to stay in that vein. Kind of,
okay.
We're mellowing out the mixtape here before we flip it. So I'm going to go with an artist whose 2024 album is actually not quite out yet, but by the time you're listening to this, it will be out. So I haven't heard the rest of it. But Kelsea Ballerini's collaboration with Noah Kahan, Cowboys Cry Too. And we were talking about a lot about 90s country. And this is a song that would not have made it in the 90s because it is the opposite of everything that 90s country stood for. Men showing their feelings, how dare we? So I love this song because it shows such a progression in the genre. It got really, like I said, it got really stagnant there for a while. It was very much beer and trucks, and that's it. That was kind of all we had for a couple years. And now we're back to writing emotional songs about deep topics that people need to hear. And I love the two of them together. They did a collab on an award show, and I'm blanking on which one. And they kind of kept hinting at a song together. And when they dropped this one, it turned out better than I could have imagined.
Couldn't agree more. I love the perspective that this song takes on that just brush it off form of toxic masculinity, because I'm a father of 2 daughters. And to me, that hits home. I don't ever want to give off that vibe to them. And I don't want them to ever think that that vibe is something that's okay. That's just my personal feeling. I want them to know that, you know, hell, your father has feelings too. It's okay. And this year, like a lot of things, they've seen a lot of those feelings out of me. And I'll get into that again, like I said, later. But this song reached number 50 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 16 on the Hot Country Songs chart, number 49 on the Canadian Hot 100, number 36 on the Canada Country chart, and back over the pond, number 48 on the UK Singles chart. Kelsea, to me, is one of the most, I'd say, consistent female country artists, along with Lainey Wilson. Ever since I first heard Hole in the Bottle back in 2020, I was instantly taken back by her style and her vibe. And I'm going to be honest, in 2020, I was late to the game. I had no idea that she had albums before that. So I had to go back and listen to Unapologetically and the first time over the last couple of years. And I've fallen in love with her music ever since. So I love this pick. And yeah, I can't wait to hear the rest of the album when it does drop. Unfortunately, when the mixtapers are out there listening to this, they've probably already heard it already. So, oh well.
I hope so.
So closing out side A, I am going to stay with this female vibe we're going with. And I'm going to stay with this, I don't know, more deep topic of country music. This is not the beer and trucks and partying type song. And it's one of those songs that might end side A on a little bit of a downer, but you know what? Country music has some downers and we have to respect those. And this is the lead single from her 4th studio album, Hummingbird. And I'm going to go with Carly Pearce's We Don't Fight Anymore, which features Chris Stapleton. This song reached number 67 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 9 on the Country Airplay chart, number 35 on the Canada Country charts, and number 19 on the UK Country Airplay charts. Everything Chris Stapleton pretty much touches is gold. I think we can agree on that at this point. Last year, his feature on Alana Springsteen's Ghost in My Guitar was one of my favorite country songs of 2023, and here we are again, as this song is just as haunting and just as powerful. And the thing that gets me about it is it's not a tear-jerking breakup song. It's not a love song. It's pure indifference. And that is a powerful vibe to go for in a country song that I don't know if you were getting 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe, even a decade ago.
No, I agree. I don't think this would have worked maybe until this year, the last year or two. I'm not a ballad person at all. I do not gravitate towards ballads. The exception is a country ballad about like dying or breaking up. Like I will eat that up every day. And this is one of them.
Their harmonies on this song are just perfect. Well, the only word I could use is perfect harmony.
Chris Stapleton has this magic about him when he features on a song that he can add so much while kind of barely being there. I don't mean that like in a negative way. Like he doesn't try to steal the spotlight on his features. He's just there to add exactly what it needs, and he knows when to back away and not steal the show.
And to me, that you can't get a better collaboration than that, using those ingredients. Well, that Mixtapers concludes side A of the Ultimate 2024 Country Music Mixtape, which consists of Luke Combs' Ain't No Love in Oklahoma, Uncle Kracker's High on My Horse, Kenny Chesney's Just to Say We Did, Post Malone's I Had Some Help featuring Morgan Wallen, Lainey Wilson's Hang Tight Honey, Dasha's Austin, Boots Stop Working, Megan Moroney's Am I Okay, Zach Bryan's Better Days featuring John Mayer, Kelsey Ballerini's Cowboys Cry 2 featuring Noah Khan, and Carly Pearce's We Don't Fight Anymore featuring Chris Stapleton. A lot of features there. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. And now to kick off Side B. Like I said, we had a lot of collaborations on Side A, 4 out of 10. And I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to go with another collaboration here, and I'm going to go with a collaboration that to me was one of the more, collaborations to come out in 2024. And this is the lead single from his album, California Gold. But I'm actually going to go with an alternate version of this song because it really caught my attention over the summer because of that. Wait a minute. Avril Lavigne is on the track moment. And I'm going to go with Nate Smith's Bulletproof featuring Avril Lavigne. It reached number 37 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 3 on the US Country Airplay charts, and number 52 on the Canadian Hot 100. The intro of this song has a pretty unmistakable vibe. It's along the lines of Tom Petty's Mary Jane's Last Dance. And anybody who knows me knows Tom Petty's my favorite artist of all time. So as soon as I catch that vibe, you have my attention. And I couldn't get this song out of my head. And I'm used to the girlfriend, losing grip, complicated, love sucks version, pop punk, Avril Lavigne. Hearing her sing country, I was kind of taken back by it. This was kind of what you would expect from a modern country rock / pop song in 2024. But hearing her voice on a country song, I think it worked. And it had to work because they duetted again on the same album on the track, Can You Die From a Broken Heart? So I don't know if this is Avril's way of saying, you know what? I'm going to try to dip my toe into the country music waters the way Post Malone did or not, but her voice actually works with this. So Nate Smith, Bulletproof to kick off Side B.
I was going to say, I feel like everyone needs to dabble in country folk music a little bit at some point in their career just for something different. And her voice really does work on this. I heard some of her slower stuff like Head Above Water. It kind of lends itself to that style. So I can see how she could very easily make a segue into country music.
And she made 2 good excuses with the songs that she featured with Nate Smith. So we'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if that happens in 25.
Maybe she'll pull a Post.
So what are you going to follow up Nate Smith with?
How about we break away from collabs and into a band? We haven't had a band yet, have we? No.
I don't think so, no.
Brothers Osborne, Break Mine. This is from an EP that they released this year. I think it's called Break Mine. I should look that up. Good. Got that right. And something about this song, production-wise, it just gives me like the best feeling. It's a really sad song because it's talking about basically, if you want to break a heart, I'm here. Please break mine. But the guitars and just sonically, going back to what you were saying about the previous song reminding you of your favorite artist, something about this reminds me of the Struts, and I don't know where the connection is, but every time I hear it, I think of the Struts. So Break Mine.
Reached number 59 on Billboard's US Country Airplay charts. I think this is a song that flows perfectly out of Nate Smith. It's got that mid-tempo drive and it fuses kind of that 90s country sound because you could hear that in their voices. Obviously, they have that Brooks and Dunn 90s country sound to their and I'm talking tonally in their voices.
Yeah.
But the music is that modern country / pop, and I can actually hear the pop side of the Struts coming out in this song. It's very, very interesting. And this is something that Brothers Osborne's been doing across all of their albums. So I'm kind of curious to see if this is the first piece of the puzzle to the next Brothers Osborne album, because they haven't done anything since their 2023 Brothers Osborne album. So I'll be curious to see where they go from here, but this is definitely kind of a bridge between country and pop, and they do it extremely well. But following that up, I'm going back to the solo artists, and yeah, I'm going to go back to the collaborations because there's just been so many amazing collaborations. And this song was originally featured on this artist's album, Keeping the Lights On. But again, an alternate single was released. And when you include the incredible Marcus King on the track, you have my attention. And I'm going to go with Cameron Marlowe's High Hopes, featuring Marcus King. If you're a fan of NBC's The Voice, you might remember Cameron as he was a contestant on season 15. I was not introduced to him via The Voice. I was introduced to him via You Might Like This Song on Apple Music. And when I heard Marcus King, I'm like, ooh, Marcus King dabbling in country music here? And I'm a huge fan of his blues rock stuff. I mean, we talked about him on episode 55, the modern blues rock episode of my weekly mixtape. He has got that genre on lockdown, but hearing him branch out and do something like this, it's very interesting. And believe it or not, it made me want to check out more of Cameron's music and more of the Keeping the Lights On album. And it's a great album. This song didn't chart anywhere. And I don't even know if it's a cut that a lot of people are familiar with. And it's such a great track that I want more people to be familiar with it. So if this is my quote unquote deep pick of the night, so be it, because yes, we could just rattle off the top 20 songs on the country charts for the year. But I feel like to personalize it a little bit, here's a song that you might not know, but damn it, you should.
I agree. Marcus King is an artist that kind of I knew of, but have never sat down to listen to in depth. And now I feel like I need to listen to him in depth because this song, we've had a lot of collabs on this list, but I think this one might be one of my favorites. And it's really hard to follow.
That it is. There's a definite blues edge to this song.
But I think I have a song that weirdly is going to pair with this very nicely. And that is Kacey Musgraves' Deeper Well.
Oh, okay.
Title track of her early 2024 release, Deeper Well, which has been one of my favorite albums this year for many reasons. When she announced that album, I was cautiously excited because I love Kacey, wasn't super crazy about Starcrossed. And so when she started hinting at kind of this return to maybe Golden Hour-esque folky sound, I was like, okay, you have my attention. And then this song dropped and I was like, oh, how is this song relating so perfectly to my life? Because, you know, every 30 years, if you're into astrology, which I'm not really, but I'm aware of this because of the song, your Saturn that you were born under returns. And that's when you start to experience like big changes in your life and your perspective on life. And as I've said, I'm 31, so my Saturn has returned. And like, I feel like this year has been a year of growth and changes and kind of getting out of maybe some of the worldviews that I had growing up, which she talks about in the song as well, where it's like the world was really flat growing up, but I've had to make my own way and figure out things for myself. And this song for me has to be on the top country songs of 2024.
Well, the album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard US Hot 100 as a whole. I've been a fan of Kacey's since 2013, Same Trailer, Different Park. And like you, I enjoyed but didn't really gravitate to some of the poppier stuff he did. So I was all in when she went back to this kind of more Americana style sound because I think it just suits her voice so well. You scooped me on the artist. I actually had the song Too Good to Be True on my list for tonight because
Also
that track interpolated Breathe 2 a.m. by Anna Nalick from the early 2000s. And I loved that kind of folksy take on those lyrics. I really liked it, but you can't go wrong with anything from this album. And I would highly suggest if you're going to dive into Deeper Well, go with the expanded edition, Deeper Into the Well, because there's just more greatness on it. Kacey's back, and I think she took 2024 by the horns and ran with it with this album. And I hope it continues down this path because this is where I feel like she really knocks it out of the park. And I'm not disrespecting her pop stuff. I understand that some fans definitely gravitate more to that style.
She had some stuff to work through on that album. It was her divorce album. We'll let it pass.
But you brought up something on this song and what it meant to you. and how this year was a year for change for you. And this year was very much a year for change for me personally. And I'm probably going to get a little serious here for a moment, so bear with me. But this is something I haven't actually talked about on the show as of yet. I've talked about it on social media, but I don't know who that listens to the show follows on social media. But there was several weeks or close to 2 months where I was actually not running the show over this summer and through the beginning of the fall. And on my social media accounts, that was all thanks to my amazing family and some podcasting friends who helped me keep the show afloat. I had pre-taped some of my summer shows so I could take a couple of weeks off to spend with my family. And about a week before I was going to take that time off, I started feeling pains in my chest and ended up not chalking it up to heartburn and just making a call to a cardiologist just to check, because I had no idea. It was a feeling I had never felt before. And a couple of days, a few blood tests and some failed tests later, I was going in for double bypass heart surgery. And I was told by several doctors that had I not done this, I would not have made it through the summer without either a major heart attack or even worse. So to take that into the song I picked, while I was laying in the hospital at night, I was using music as my way to kind of keep me occupied, keep my mind at ease, keep me relaxed, keep me grounded. My family was there all day and all afternoon with me, but at night they would go home and I would just be laying there on my own in this room, connected to all these tubes and struggling to wrap my mind around the fact that I'm in my 40s going through something that's kind of early in life to be struggling with mortality. And the lead single from Jelly Roll's Beautifully Broken is called I Am Not Okay. And this song could be interpreted in many, many, many different ways. It could be about being sober. It could be about a relationship. But the lyrics, I am not okay, but it's going to be all right, it really, really hit me this summer. It helped me get through one of the hardest things and probably the hardest thing I'll ever have to go through. And damn it, if I never have to go through it again. I'm doing everything I can right now to ensure I never have to go through that again. But before I pivot back into the song, I will say this much. If you're ever feeling like something's off, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor, because had I not done that, this episode might not be happening right now. So I really want to stress that to those listening. This is not a health program. I am not a doctor, but something just told me that I needed to make that phone call, and thank God I did. So moving on into the actual song here. This song was massive. It reached number 18 on the Billboard US Hot 100, number 5 on the Country Airplay chart and Hot Country Songs chart, as well as number 44 on the Canadian Hot 100 and number 18 on the Canada Country chart. It also hit number 98 on the Billboard Global 200. But for me, this song was so much more than that, because I needed somebody to tell me things were going to be okay. I had nurses saying it, and I know that's their job. I had family telling me that, and I know that that's what family's there to tell you, family and friends. But hearing it in a song from some stranger I don't know why, it just hit me on a different level. And this song it's hard for me to listen to, but I couldn't do an episode on country music in 2024 and not talk about this song, because it really, truly resonates with me on an entirely different level than probably any of the songs we're going to be talking about tonight.
Well, I'm glad that you went when you did, and that now you're okay to come back to doing what you love to do.
Thank you. Me too.
I don't have a good follow-up or segue after that, so I guess I'll just jump into my next one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring the show down. I really didn't. But
no, we kind of had like a couplet of songs that were like the theme songs of the year. And I'm going to keep things sad because, like I said, I love a country ballad. I love a country duet and a sad country duet. And so I'm going to pick yet another collab of Orville Peck featuring Noah Cyrus, How Far Will We Take It, off of his 2024 album Stampede, which is his duets album, which is such a fun album. If you guys should all go check it out. One of the highlights is Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting with Elton John, like kind of reimagined. It's a phenomenal collaboration, but this song was one of the singles that came out before the album. And Orville already has this really kind of sultry, croonery voice to begin with. And you pair that with Noah's voice, and the two of them just sound incredible together. The song is really sad. It's about being alone after breaking up with the love of your life, but it sounds incredible. So
that it does. The whole album's great. I mean, Orville has this, you had said soul, I think the word you used was sultry voice. Was that?
Yeah, sultry croonery voice.
Croonery voice. To me, it was like a Roy Orbison-esque 50s delivery. And it blends so perfectly with that modern sound of Noah's voice. The whole album's excellent. He teamed up with everybody from Willie Nelson, who I mentioned, Patreon Mixtape, Brandon from Virginia chimed in with the song Cowboys Are Frequently Secretly Fond of Each Other, all the way to Midland. You had mentioned Elton John. And then there's guys like Teddy Swims and Nathaniel Rateliff, which the two of those guys have that Joe Cockery kind of gravel to their voice. And then you pair it with him. It's an incredibly fantastic collaboration album. And I think, I know it's the year of collaborations. I'm sticking with it. I've mentioned the name before, and I'm going to go with another collaboration. And look, if you put out a tribute album to my favorite artist ever, and it's all country music, yes, it's going to be towards the top of my list. Now, you scooped me on Lainey Wilson on side A. However, there's no rules in my weekly mixtape that if Lainey Wilson's a feature on a track, I can't bring it up as well. So I am going to go with Wynonna Judd featuring Lainey Wilson's cover of Tom Petty's Refugee. This whole album is fantastic. I loved hearing country artists take on Tom Petty songs. If you listen to the Wildflowers album and a lot of Tom Petty's music, there is some country woven into the fabric of what he makes musically. So this album was not a huge swing to me. I know it catches some flack online from Tom Petty purists who don't want to hear modern country artists do his music, but I'm sorry, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love this version so much. I had actually created at the early part of the summer a bonus episode of the show called Under the Cover, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers Refugee. And I break down 7 different versions of Refugee, and this is one of them. So I'm not going to say anything else about this one other than it's Tom Petty, it's country, it's 2024. There's no way I wasn't including it. And Lainey and Wynonna together, chef's kiss.
It is a great cover, and it is so fun. I listened to it and was jamming in my car. Like, I know I keep saying song of the summer. This also really makes me think of summer and just driving with the windows down and just screaming at the top of your lungs. It's such a fun song, and the haters can just deal with it because I love when they take an artist and do a cover album. They've done like an Elton John one in the country vein, and they always turn out so fun. Like, sorry you don't like fun if you want to hate on this album.
I'm a cover song fanatic, and I know some people are like, why? Just listen to the original. I just love hearing artists put their stamp on another artist's song because I love the original. So if I love the original and I love the artist covering it, I really want to hear how they interpret what their vision of that song is. And this is a perfect example of that.
Especially when they've been inspired by the artist they're covering and you can hear the influence in their music. Just a cool full circle moment.
Amen. All right, we got a couple songs left. So
all right,
what do you have next?
We're bringing the vibe back up. And I think it's time for me to pull out my deep cut from maybe an artist that people have not heard before. I don't even know how I found them, but there's a pair of sisters out of Connecticut who perform under the name Presley and Taylor. That's their names. And they have a song called Never Not a Good Time that is, again, such a fun song. It's just talking about how they're never not having a good time when they go out and hang out with their friends. And it just brings up memories of hanging out with friends. And there's certain people you hang out with that you never don't have a good time when you're together. And their voices, you know how siblings have that special kind of harmony that you can't achieve with other people?
Mm-hmm.
They have that throughout all of their songs. And they actually have a feature on this. Her name is Haley Mae Campbell, and she adds this whole extra level to their little harmonies that they do.
Yeah, this sister duo could be a piece of the future of country music for 2025 and beyond. Hearing this song, I hear a 90s country pop fusing with modern sounds. So if you took Shania Twain in the 90s, now when you add Haley Mae Campbell into the mix, the Dixie Chicks of the 2000s, and modern pop country, I think you get Never Not a Good Time. So I'm actually shocked this song didn't get bigger because it's a ridiculous earworm.
It's really catchy.
It's catchy as hell. And I'm going to keep this party vibe going and go with probably what I feel might be the most catchiest earworm of a song. Maybe it's because I was a fan of Jaquan's Tipsy in 2004, but we can't not talk about the fourth single from Where I've Been Isn't Where I'm Going. It took 4 singles to get to a bar song, Tipsy by Shaboozey, a worldwide smash reaching number 3 on the Billboard Global 200, and it topped the charts, number 1 in the US, Canada, Australia, Ireland, Norway, Belgium, and Sweden. It was also a top 10 hit in 6 other countries. It was also the longest running number 1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2024. So regardless of if you like this song or not, if you're mad at the fact that they interpolated Tipsy from hip hop to country, whatever your reasoning is, this song is unescapable on any chart this year. This song is everywhere, and there's a reason it's everywhere. 10 years from now, when I hear this song, it's going to remind me of 2024. So it has to make the list. I know it's an on-the-nose pick for my last song of the night, but you can't not acknowledge the biggest songs of the year.
No, I think it's a great pick. It is also an earworm, also really fun. I keep saying that for all these songs, but it was a good year for really fun songs, okay? This one, it plays, I don't know if it's because I'm just, in the South, but it plays on our local pop station and our country station and the hip hop station. So we don't have a lot of circulation going on, apparently, amongst stations. But it's another song that when it plays on the radio, I'm not trying to skip past it and find something else. I'm like, okay, we can listen to this. We can jam to this for a couple minutes. It's everywhere. And it's a song of the year.
Certainly is. And now you get to close us out with the final song of the night.
That I cannot believe. I've been holding out for this the entire time, waiting for you to steal it from me. So I'm glad that it made it to the final, because I will see Tipsy and raise you what I think is the biggest song of the year by an artist who has never released a country album until this year. That's not Post Malone. And that is Beyonce's Texas Hold'em. So you want to talk about a song that was everywhere. This was truly everywhere. Going back to TikTok, there were days that every other video was using this song. And it was for random stuff. It had nothing to do with Texas or Beyonce, or it wasn't even a dance like Dasha's song was. It was just that catchy. And Beyonce's album better get the awards that it deserves come award season, because it is such a interesting take back of country music, and the stuff that she does on it with her collaborations, with her interpolations, with her artwork. The album is phenomenal. It deserves the world. Beyonce knocked it out of the park.
Reached number 1 on the Billboard Global 200, the Billboard US Hot 100, and Hot Country Songs chart, the Canadian Hot 100, the UK Singles chart, as well as topping the charts in Belgium, Iceland, Ireland, the Netherlands, and New Zealand. And a historical thing happened with both Tipsy by Shaboozey and Beyonce's Texas Hold'em. It was the first time in Billboard Hot Country Songs chart history that 2 consecutive Black artists held the number 1 position on that chart. So we get to close out tonight with 2 history-making songs, as well as 2 amazing songs that I'm sure we're going to be talked about for years to come. And that, Mixtapers, concludes Side B of the Ultimate 2024 Country Music Mixtape, which consists of Nate Smith's Bulletproof featuring Avril Lavigne, Brothers Osborne's Break Mine, Cameron Marlowe's High Hopes featuring Marcus King, Kacey Musgraves' Deeper Well, Jelly Roll's I Am Not Okay, Orville Peck, How Far Can We Take It featuring Noah Cyrus, Wynonna Judd's Refugee featuring Lainey Wilson, Presley and Taylor's Never Not a Good Time featuring Haley Mae Campbell, Shaboozey's A Bar Song Tipsy, and Beyoncé's Texas Hold'em. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, Leah, I know we've been talking a lot about country music tonight, but you have brought up the Struts. So why don't you let everybody know about the Struts Life podcast and where they could find the show?
Yeah, the Struts Life podcast is an oral history of the band featuring me as your co-host, and my other 4 co-hosts are the band themselves. And so at least one member joins us every week of the show to talk about past, present, future, likes, dislikes, hopes, dreams. We've got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. There's a bunch of episodes out already. You can find it on thestruts.com. There's a link to all of your listening sites, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight on My Weekly Mixtape. It's been a great time talking country music with you tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And finally, if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. There you can enjoy ad-free episodes of the show, gain early access to upcoming episodes, chime in on future topics, become a guest curator, and so much more. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.